All right, and it's excited to see everybody. Really excited for this week's, our last home game of the year, senior night. I'm expecting a great crowd as normal because, our fans do such a good job, and we need them. This is gonna be a really tough game, and so we need everybody there. And without a doubt, guys like Boog and Tony Bradford and those guys that are seniors that have put a lot into this university would love to see that thing packed for their last home game. Playing a really good football team, one of the best offensive teams in the country. I think they're top 10 in total offense. Just had a running back go over 200 yards against Oklahoma State. Playing a lot better. They kind of went through what we've gone through. They start off 3-0 and lose their quarterback, and him coming back the last 4 games have made a huge difference. Had an opportunity to beat OU there and, came up short, but they're playing really good football right now. Really explosive. Got 2 really good outside receivers. Once again, really good quarterback. And he's feeling healthier and healthier. He had a leg injury, and just watching the Oklahoma State game, you could see he feels a lot better because he's running a lot more. No Gus, fairly well. His mom actually taught English at our 9th grade campus. Sent him a text the other day congratulating him. He had a 100th win as a college head coach, so I was fired up for him. I'm excited to see him.
Coach, UCF made Oklahoma State one-dimensional in attacking their run and forcing their quarterback to do it. Is Barron healthy enough at this time if he's forced to make the throws like Bowman was forced to do for Oklahoma State?
Yeah, I think he is. I think you saw it on the last drive. I think you saw it on different times in the game. It didn't hurt that it came a torrential downpour in that game. I'm hoping for cold weather. It'd be nice to be in the 50s. I know 50s is not cold, but love to have some guys from, Florida come down to 50 and 40 degrees. But I don't think it's going to be raining. It's going to be a great night, and so I think that also helped, them be one-dimensional. And then turnovers. I mean, we've experienced it, and that's one thing that Oklahoma State, they had 4 turnovers. And I haven't got all the way through that game, but in the first half, there was 10 points off of turnovers, off of a fumble by the running back and a tip ball interception, that kind of created the 24-0, because Oklahoma State at times moved the ball, but as they moved the ball down the field, they turned the ball over in some bad situations.
Coach, you already talked about Gus, but they throw a lot of different things at you in the run game, put defenders in a bind. Especially considering, what happened against Kansas State. What have the conversations been like in the defensive room?
Well, we're glad that we played Kansas last week. Because they're different but similar, meaning you're going to get a lot of quarterback run game, and so that was good. Kansas moves every single snap, and so I think the communication that we had last week is going to help us this week. Little bit different. I think if the quarterback was healthy all year long, you might see a little bit more K-State run game. But their run game is more like Kansas, zone read. I wouldn't say like the triple option of what Kansas was doing, but you're going to get more of the quarterback run game versus Kansas State. They're more quarterback power, getting behind that offensive line. So I think it's definitely going to help us playing Kansas before. That's one thing that I made a point to the defense, made a point to the defensive staff. It was good because, it's hard to move more than what Kansas moves. And I thought we did a great job of communicating defensively. And even the long touchdown, that wasn't a lack of communication. That was a lack of execution. We had a good defense called. We just got upfield too much. The ball got pitched too fast. Couldn't get the linebacker and the 3 technique over. And then we had an unblocked player. We had 2 unblocked players, and they just didn't make the tackle against a good running back.
Enjoy following up on UCF quarterback run game. John Plumley's obviously made a lot of plays. What does he look like on video?
Watching him the first of the year, I got to, they played Kent State, I think on a Thursday night, and so I got to watch the whole game, and I was like, gosh, man, this guy's something. He's extremely fast, and He has a good knack for when to pull it, when to give it. He's a seasoned vet. And then, when he got hurt, so when he first came back from the injury, they weren't running him near as much. And, you could see, I think the brace is smaller, but he first game back, he wore a huge brace. Last week, he ran the ball really effective. So you could tell he's feeling really good. It was a different, each week you're seeing a different guy, a little bit like Barron. You're seeing a little bit different guy being healthier and healthier. And so I think, without a doubt, we're going to see plenty of quarterback run game with him.
They have two receivers, both close to 40 catches, but huge yards per catch, both over 20 yards per catch. What do they look like to you?
Yeah, you got the one had a huge game against Oklahoma State, transfer from Alabama. I mean, both of them are really long and really fast. I mean, they're big receivers. So, it's good. That's one thing with us. I think we've got long corners, and so I think Malik's playing really well right now. He had a great game against Kansas, and so I think that's going to help. But we've got to do a good job. Rabbit's got to continue to be that center fielder back there that helps us out. But they're going to take shots. I mean, they are a vertical passing game team. They're going to try to big play you home runs. It's a little bit like Kansas again. We didn't get as much. I was a little surprised. Vertical passing game against Kansas, but I expect to get it against UCF. They're a big play offense.
Coach McGuire just kind of mentioned it with, I guess, Kansas and UCF similarities in the run game with the zone read and stuff like that. How do you stop this UCF offense that seems to have some dual threat stuff with the quarterback as well?
Yeah, I don't know how you stop it. People are having a hard enough time trying to slow it down. They've got really good skill. They've got a really good scheme. What ends up happening is when you have a quarterback run game element, and with the motions and the shifts and the different formations they give you, they get really talented athletes in a lot of space in one-on-ones. And what they've been able to do is make guys miss in space, and they've got guys that can really run. And so as much as possible, you've got to get 11 guys seeing where that football is and then have great effort to the ball, assuming that at some point in the game someone's going to miss a one-on-one. They make everybody miss. They throw the ball equally as well. And so they've got three guys outside and a tight end that you use, and they'll throw it through the backs. They really use 100 yards of the field and 53 and a third sideline to sideline. So present a lot of stresses on a defense, and we just got to do a great job like we did last week, for the most part, for 3/4 of the game anyways, of keeping our eyes where they're supposed to be, and then being assignment sound.
Players getting better over a period of time. You were talking about the run game, or quarterback run game for UCF. How much more explosive has John Plumley become over the last couple of weeks, getting back from that injury and being healthy?
Yeah, unfortunately, I had to play against him when I was at Cal a couple of years ago when he was a freshman. And we had knocked Matt Corral, who was a really good football player, out, and we're thinking, okay, we got the freshman. I think he took 170 against us. He's a guy that's got really good competitive speed. He's got great quickness. When he gets by people, there's not a lot of people that can catch him. So he presents a lot of stress. Like I mentioned, their scheme puts you in a lot of one-on-ones. And when he makes a guy miss, big plays happen. I don't know the exact stat, but I think they're one of the top explosive run teams in the country. And it's a lot of because of what they do schematically, but it's guys one-on-one making guys miss, and he's certainly a guy that is one of those guys that can take the top off.
What does UCF's defense remind you of, and how do you have to attack it to win?
Yeah, they're very athletic. Structurally, they're very kind of similar to what we just saw with Kansas. You're going to see a little bit more of a four-down front, multiple coverages in the back end, but they're going to fly downhill. And I think they played a little bit different against Cincinnati with the running quarterback than they would play probably against us. And then this last week, kind of with a lot of the rain early in that game against Oklahoma State, I think you saw them adjust and really try to stop Ollie from running around on those guys. So again, we've got to be ready to run the football with Taj and keep leaning on him, but at the same time, we've got to be able to strike it through the air and get Barron going early.
Coach, you're going up against the UCF rush defense that's giving up almost 200 yards a game. I know Taj just had this really heavy workload in the last game. Is there any intention to keep him on that same workload and maybe incorporate Cameron a little bit more, or how are you kind of splitting it this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're still going to see a huge dose of Taj, man. I mean, he's at the point now where, these last 4 to 5 games, I mean, he's just like, unless I got to take myself out of the game, I'm not coming off the field. And as a coach, that's what you really want. You know what I mean? You want your leaders, your best players out there playing as many snaps as they can go. And he's not a guy that wants to come off the field, and he's honest with himself and knows when he needs a blow, and he'll ask for a substitution. But yeah, we're gonna keep trying to feed him the ball, and he's done a tremendous job. And I don't know exactly where he's at, top 5 I think in the country rushing, and so that's been awesome for him. And credit to him, and as well as our tight ends and O-line, those guys blocking for him, the receivers on the perimeter. So, but definitely going to get him going, and then you're going to see Cam come in, and hopefully we can get Cam a few carries here and there, and he can pop some runs as well.